Let me paint you a picture. Tens of thousands of attendees, scorching sun, and so many nerdy activities, 3 days seem like not enough. But you won't be overwhelmed, because this is everything you need to know before you attend Pyrkon, no matter if it's your first time or if you've been going for years just like me. I'm Salmon and this is my channel Joy Salmon. I'm a cosplayer from Poland and I make videos about cosplay and conventions and anything that comes to my mind. Long time no see, huh? Many years have passed and a lot has changed, so I will slowly re-record my old educational videos in my new style, taking into consideration everything I learned since I started this channel in 2020. But this video is about Pyrkon, Poland's biggest convention, because it's happening in about a month. I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about it in hopes that it will help you prepare for the special weekend. Let's dive into it. Pyrkon is held at Poznań International Fair. It's this big terrain with huge halls right next to Poznań Główny train station. Once you see a colorful crowd wearing wigs, carrying swords and other nerdy accessories, you're gonna know you're headed in the right direction. Also, they'll probably have badges on purple and green lanyards. I have my fair share of these. This is from 2018, I think. This is from 2019, this is from 2022, and this is from 2024. Okay, but the whole thing actually starts the year before, right at the end of the previous edition. This is when the organizers announce the date of next year's event. Usually, the early bird ticket tier sales start the following week. You can buy weekend passes or choose to go on Friday, Saturday and Sunday separately. There are usually discounts for children, and Pyrkon also has a special program for special needs folks to apply for a free ticket for their assistants. There are also ways to obtain a special kind of badge like this one. Vendors, guests, program contributors and volunteers all get colorful cards labeled in different colors that allow for special benefits that are marked down here below with special stickers. For me, who usually gets this green type of program contributor badge, this usually means I can enter the complex earlier to set up, or that I can bring in materials necessary for my contribution. For Project League, which is our League of Legends activity zone that I do with my friends, this could mean sharp scissors, boxes of props, power tools. There are also special bathrooms for program contributors and vendors that allow for quicker use so we can return to our duties earlier. All roles you can apply for are being announced by Pyrkon on their social media and their website up until the upcoming convention all throughout the year. Alright, you have your ticket now, it's time to find accommodation. Before the pandemic, there was a time Pyrkon used to offer sleep rooms. This was a huge, empty, chaotic hall filled with people in sleeping bags, on mats. Looking back on it, it was a very bad idea to cram in everyone and their mother into this huge hall. It was a disaster waiting to happen. The organizers decided they cannot keep it under control. And who can blame them? This year's attendance has been capped at 70,000 attendees. It's seriously a lot of nerds are swarming to Poznań to just experience the magic that Pyrkon is. But Pyrkon wanted to help out. They entered a collaboration with a campsite in the outskirts of Poznań to create Pyrkamp. It's a paid alternative to sleep rooms. You get to choose different types of accommodation, and people say the atmosphere there is super cool and almost like at sleep rooms. But I can't say much more because I usually stay with my friend Inu at her house. Over the years I realized I don't like the chaos and uncertainty of sleep rooms, and I'd rather stay at my friend's house or book a hotel room during cons. Getting one with a breakfast counted in is a lifesaver, because if you want to be at the con place at 10 on Sunday, you might struggle finding a Żabka convenience store open at the time you wake up to do your makeup. So think about it. If you encounter any problems with your hotel booking, especially if it's cancelled without a valid reason, the City of Poznań and Poznań Tourism Organization encourage you to report this via a special form. I'll link it down below in the description.
Rafał przywiózł pizzę.
Ktoś coś ogarnął.
Cześć Anta. Wow.
If you want to know more about what to pack to conventions, I have an old video right here you can watch. But since Pyrkon usually happens during a heat wave, here are some additional pointers. Pack a reusable water bottle, preferably with a filter. I've added these straps to mine so I can unclip it and clip it to my belt or my bag, or just carry it like a purse. There are some free water refill stations at Pyrkon where you can queue up and fill this up. And please do, religiously. There's nothing worse than a struggling, dehydrated cosplayer with a weak headache in the middle of 30-degree heat. You'd probably also want a fan. Mine looks like this, and it helps my makeup stay on and me to keep cool. But you can choose an automatic electric one. You're probably gonna want to wear comfortable shoes because you're gonna walk a lot. A collapsible tote for all the things you're gonna buy and get for free is also advisable. And I always encourage taking power banks and cords because your phone battery is gonna drain so much from all the photos and videos you're gonna take. On top of that, ID, wallet, cash, all that jazz. If you're under 18, you're gonna need a special permit from your guardians that is available to be downloaded and filled up on Pyrkon's website. You'll probably benefit from taking a small traditional first aid kit and a cosplay repair kit, but don't worry because Pyrkon has a great medical team and the cosplay zone has repair stations, so you might just need like a band-aid or two or some hairspray if you're in a pinch. But enough on equipment, I have a whole video about this. Time to arrive in Poznań. You'll probably land near Avenida, which is this bread box looking mall right next to the fair. This is the place many attendees eat to avoid the high cost of commonplace food. Just please leave me some all-you-can-eat sushi on Sunday evening because I love to take them on a train back home.
Pyrkon się skończył, a my wracamy do domu pociągiem, który był opóźniony o 80
Pyrkon się skończył, impreza się nie skończyła.
Stoimy w szczerym polu, bo piorun gdzieś walnął i nie wiem co się dzieje.
W sensie albo piorun, albo...
W sensie, no bo był błysk.
Ale nie, to nie mógłby być piorun, ponieważ ja się na to nie zgadzam.
Update sytuacji z pociągiem. Zerwała się trakcja, uszkodziła lokomotywę, będziemy stać jeszcze 2 godziny. Ja pierdolę. Jest poniedziałek, 8 rano, około 6:30 dojechaliśmy po 8 godzinach opóźnienia. Staliśmy w szczerym polu przez większość tego czasu. Moja przygoda pyrkonowa na ten rok się kończy. Oceniam w sumie pozytywnie. Spotkałam dużo znajomych i bardzo dobrze się z nimi bawiłam, ale przez pogodę, ilość pracy i zawirowania z pociągiem chyba muszę trochę odespać.
Many congoers choose to arrive on Thursday or even on Wednesday to avoid the dreaded Kolejkon, which is a queue to exchange tickets for badges. Pyrkon usually allows earlier badge collection on these days in designated spots, but you cannot buy a ticket then. You can only exchange a pre-bought code for a badge. Many attendees do that for their friends. They pass out the badges internally and they can head to the gate on Friday all ready. Many Pyrkon zones set up on Thursday. This is when I usually arrive and collect my badge. It's honestly amazing to see all the setup because one moment the halls are empty and after a long and tiring process they're not, and they're filled with amazing constructions.
Powiedz
Po chińsku. Zostaw. Ona mi nie pozwala podnieść, ale jest po chińsku. Nic nie wiadomo. Śrubki tam. Zero wiedzy.
Jaki ciemny.
Jest cudowny. Ino, nagrywam gołębia. Próbuję oswojenie gołębia.
Ale jakby go oswoić i pozwolić mu siedzieć na dzidzie.
No.
No cool. Ludzie bez ogarnia.
On się gdzieś... Nie ma... O, tam jest.
Otwiera wioskę.
But I've been talking for so long and I didn't tell you what you can actually do at Pyrkon. And boy, there's so much. The program is filled to the brim with panels, workshops, concerts, meet and greets, anything you like. There are themed zones like the cosplay zone, the gaming zone, the literary zone, the kids zone. There are also fun initiatives that applied to be there, and they offer activities connected to universes like League of Legends. This is what we do at Project League. You can learn new skills, watch shows, take part in competitions, and even see exhibitions. On top of that, there are many independent unofficial fun activities going on. The most famous example is the Ananas Walk, where the attendees just worship a pineapple while marching through the fair. There are vlogs being recorded, interviews being held, photos being taken, and most importantly, people you can meet and interact with. My favorite part of Pyrkon's programming is Maskarada, which is the cosplay contest. This is where our representatives for Extreme Cosplay Gathering are chosen, so the rivalry is very high level. Super worth watching, especially outside on this big screen. If you find all of this overwhelming, here's a tip for you. Mark down all of the activities that interest you on paper in an app like Convencik or in Google Sheets. I myself use a combination of Convencik and Google Calendar. Each time before Pyrkon, I mark down all the things I must see, the things I want to see but I can go without, and things that don't interest me at all. Then I transfer this plan to Google Calendar and stick to it. Most important part, however, is not stressing too much if something doesn't go as planned. You need a little bit of spontaneity or you're not gonna have fun. Things happen and sometimes you cannot walk across the con place in 5 minutes. Try to allocate at least half an hour to an hour to stand in queues. You might get some tokens with your tickets that will help you reserve your place at panels, workshops or concerts. You can spend these tokens during designated token spending time that is always announced by Pyrkon on their social media and their website. How these tokens work is each room's capacity is divided in half. Half of it goes to people with tokens and can be reserved. Then these token keepers stay in line with their tokens printed or on their phones and they get let into the room first. Some don't show up and then the second queue is let in. This can mean token keepers take up exactly half of the room or a little bit below. Some programming is not eligible to be tokenized and reserved, so you have to queue up with everyone else. This is a very stressful system, but I understand why it's been implemented because 70,000 attendees have the right to go to any of those panels, concerts or workshops. It is super disheartening if you're the first person over the room's capacity and you don't get to go somewhere, but it's a sad reality of mass events. There's also a new system in place for autographs and photo ops with guest stars. It's called Pyrpas. Pyrpasses guarantee you get a photo or an autograph from a star of your choosing. They can be reserved with tokens or obtained for free at a special booth on the day of the photo op or autograph slot. The quantity is limited and one person can obtain 1 Pyrpas at a time, or 3 if they have previously reserved them with tokens. Okay, editing Salmon here. Pyrkon just released their programming and they announced date to reserve things with tokens and also clarified that if you reserve a Pyrpas with your token, you don't need to exchange it at the booth. You just get an email with it. So I guess that means that you can receive as many Pyrpasses as you have tokens, but I might be wrong. If you want another Pyrpas, however, you need to go to the end of the queue and queue up again. This all functions until supplies last. Unused Pyrpasses expire at the end of the slot they were obtained for. And I think it makes sense. I heard so many stories about people queuing up to their dream guest star and not getting an autograph or a photo op because the time slot just ended. The amount of Pyrpasses available for each time slot is apparently going to guarantee you don't get your time wasted. But we'll see. But all those limited activities are just a distraction. They're only part of the fun. There are concerts and shows happening outside where you don't have to stand in queues to see them. The independent fan-made activities never stop, and walk-in RPG sessions happening in the middle of the night. And there's also the gastro hall with Ogródek Piwny, which is our beer garden, where so many of my friends set up camp to dine and drink the whole convention. There's so much to do at Pyrkon, I haven't even covered the vendor hall, where you can buy handmade and mass-produced items alike. Hundreds of artists offer their goods at this event, but I have to warn you that these halls tend to get stuffed and crowded very easily. So you either have to have a plan in place or approach in sections because, oh boy. Okay, time for some rapid fire vocabulary. Iglica. This landmark right here. It looks like a needle and is a spot right next to the east gate. Placmarka. Marek Square. This scorching hot piece of concrete right here. It's right between Hall 4, 3 and 3A, and it usually houses a stage and Ogródek Piwny, the beer garden. Czteropak, the 4-pack. It's a collection of 4 halls right here, and we call it that because there's 4 of them. Wioski, villages. These are the fan-made zones that applied earlier to offer activities. They're usually housed in halls 3 and 3A, but you can encounter them in other halls, like in the cosplay zone or the manga hall. Grzdacze. Volunteers helping the event. You can ask them for directions, you can tell them you lost something, they can answer your questions or call for more specified personnel for you. They wear orange t-shirts when on duty. Pokojowy patrol, the peaceful patrol. These are the volunteers that help you in emotional distress. If you feel overwhelmed or uncomfortable and need some help, seek them out. They wear red t-shirts when on duty. And that's it for the rapid fire vocabulary. Now it's time for the controversial part. This is all about costumes and props. This year, Pyrkon changed some regulations regarding the things you are allowed to bring into the con place. The aim of these changes is to make the con safer for almost 70,000 participants. Now, bear in mind that what I'm gonna say is just a paraphrase of the rules as written, and the final interpretation lies with the organizers. You can always ask them at bezpieczeństwo@pyrkon.pl if your costume or prop is allowed. I'm just the messenger here. I'm also going to include screenshots of rules I'm gonna be covering in case I misread something or misunderstand it. Okay, let's go. Most notable changes include a total ban on firearm replicas, even non-functional, resembling any real weapon produced after 1885. It's further explained that if your firearm prop is clearly fictional and complements your costume, you can bring it in as long as it doesn't have any sharp edges or spikes, and is unable to shoot projectiles. Nerf guns are allowed without ammunition. However, you have to bear in mind that if your prop resembles a real firearm, it will be inspected on entrance and will receive a safety marking which must be present throughout the convention. If the prop is found non-compliant, then it can be deposited if the locker room regulations allow it. So if it's too big to fit in this locker room, then you will have to bring it home.
I hope you don't mind the change of scenery, but I have to re-record everything I just said because I was not clear enough and I only saw it when I was editing. Here is a list of all the dangerous items you are not allowed to bring. However, you can bring replicas of them, and they can be made out of safe materials specified in the rules, and non-safe materials like wood, metal, and stone. Except for the ones listed in this paragraph. These are bludgeoning weapons, thrown weapons, and projectiles. Everything, however, no matter if it's made out of safe materials or not, has to be devoid of sharp edges and spikes. This means 2mm edges. However, you have to bear in mind that if something is not made out of safe materials specified in the rules, it will be subject to inspection every time you enter the con place and will receive a safety marking. I hope this is clear enough. I think the best choice is to make your weapon out of safe materials in advance. That way you're almost always sure that it's allowed.
Your bow and crossbow replicas should be unstringed and arrows made with safe tips, and your prop explosives such as grenades and dynamite, should be clearly fictional. Now, onto the costume rules. No symbols prohibited by law. This means Nazi symbols, other totalitarian regimes, and this includes symbols used by Russia during the aggression on Ukraine. Nothing obscene or inducing hatred, the definitions of which are stated in the Polish Penal Code, and also you cannot transform these symbols for your cosplay. So no wearing a mallet and a scythe instead of hammer and sickle. Now, wearing any uniform of military, paramilitary, and other uniformed units of all countries introduced after the year 1900 is prohibited. This includes tactical vests, helmets, and other combat equipment of modern special services, real paramilitary units, and real army. The rules also specify you cannot wear a uniform from alternate history, where your character is a member of an alternate version of a real totalitarian regime. All in all, uniforms of completely fictional formations, professions that are not uniformed services, and uniforms introduced before 1900 are allowed. However, everyone needs to remember that your costume needs to be safe for movement through a crowd and cannot hinder your or others' ability to evacuate. So it has to be smaller than emergency exits or immediately removable or foldable until it is. If it's not, you should not bring it inside and you should only present it in the open areas of the convention. If you do have big and protruding elements, you should be mindful of other participants and avoid crowded places, regardless if your pieces are removable or not. Your costume should also not spread liquid substances and gases such as odor, fog, or smoke. It is also forbidden to expose your body to a degree that is widely considered inappropriate in public spaces. Okay, one last rule, you cannot move around barefoot, and Pyrkon advises using these special sole stickers if you want to imitate bare feet. These regulations have some exclusions that are specified in the rules, like cosplay competition goers and convention staff, and specified programming conductors. However, as I said earlier, the final decision on bringing those items that might be considered dangerous lies with the organizer.
Jest 12 na wiosce Lola! To jest Aga, to jest Senapi. Jak się bawicie?
Świetnie!
And I think this is it. This is all you need to know before you attend your first Pyrkon. I feel like I've been talking for hours. If you feel like I missed something, let me know in the comments below. I wanted this video to be very informative and versatile and evergreen because Pyrkon happens every year and I have so much footage and I always want to make vlogs out of Pyrkon. But then I realized that my Pyrkons look very similar to each other and I kind of wanted to turn this sameness into a teaching moment for you to enjoy. So let me know if you're going this year, if we're gonna see each other and what costume you're bringing. And if so, see you in the cosplay zone. And if not, see you in the next one. Bye!